Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The Sultanate celebrates, along with the Arab and Islamic states, the first day of the blessed Eid al-Adha. "717 pilgrims are killed in a stampede outside Mecca, and Omani Hajj mission confirms that until now it doesn't receive any report of injuries or deaths among Omani pilgrims. And the European Union leaders pledged an extra €1 billion to support Syrian refugees. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. The Sultanate today celebrated, along with Arab and Islamic states, the first day of the blessed Eid al-Adha. His Highness Sayyid Fahd bin Mahmoud Al Saeed, Deputy Prime Minister for the Council of Ministers, performed Eid al-Adha prayers at Al-Khor Mosque in Muscat this morning. His Highness was accompanied during the Eid prayers by a number of their Highnesses, their Excellencies, the Ministers and the advisors and senior personalities. Honorable Sheikh Dr. Ishaq bin Ahmed Al-Busaidi, Chairman of the Supreme Court and Vice Chairman of the Supreme Council for Judiciary, led the prayers. He began the Eid sermon by glorifying and thanking the Almighty for his bounties and blessings. The sermon talked about sacrifices at pilgrimage, sacred sites, the scene that reflected Muslims' unity at Mount Arafat, a call for unity of the nation word starting from the Muslim family, abiding by the moderate approach. He pointed out the stability, security and safety which were endowed by the Almighty on our dear country. He concluded by requesting Allah the Almighty to protect the homeland and to preserve His Majesty the Sultan, and to endow him with wisdom and to return this occasion on him for countless years as he enjoys good health.
وأزمنة مديدة وهو ينعم بالصحة والأمن والأمان وزروعنا وكل أرزاقنا يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان.
His Excellency Sayyid Mohammed bin Sultan Al Busaidi, Minister of State and Governor of the FAR, today performed Eid al-Adha prayers at Sultan Qaboos Mosque in Salalah. He was accompanied by a number of their Honorable, their Excellencies and senior civil and military officials, as well as sheikhs and dignitaries of the Governorate of the FAR, and a gathering of citizens and expatriates. Abdurrab bin Salim Al-Liafi, Imam and preacher of Sultan Qaboos Mosque in Salalah, led the prayers. He focused in his sermon on a number of meanings and lessons extracted regarding integration, cooperation and mercy amongst Muslims. He also dwelt on the importance of keeping aside differences and called for peace and tolerance, which were enacted by the Almighty for strengthening the belief. He appealed to Allah to safeguard His Majesty Sultan Qaboos and to endow with him health and happiness, return such happy occasions with good omen and blessings on His Majesty. At least 717 pilgrims were killed today in a stampede outside the Muslim holy city of Mecca. Saudi authorities said the worst disaster to strike the annual pilgrimage in 25 years. Saudi Civil Defense said at least 805 others were injured in the crash at Mina, a few kilometers east of Mecca, caused by two large groups of pilgrims arriving together at a crossroad on their way to performing the stoning the devil ritual at Jamarat. Today's disaster was the worst to befall the pilgrimage since July 1990, when 1,426 pilgrims were crushed to death in a tunnel near Mecca. Both stampedes occurred on Eid al-Adha, feast of the sacrifice, Islam's most important feast, and the day of the stoning ritual. Omani Hajj mission confirmed that it until now did not receive any report of injuries or deaths among Omani pilgrims in the stampede that took place in the path leading to Jamarat in Muna. The Omani mission also mentioned that the emergency team affiliated to the Omani Hajj mission was activated to investigate on the well-being of the pilgrims. Sheikh Isa bin Yusuf Al Busaidi, head of Omani Hajj mission, spoke about the situation in an earlier bulletin and stated that everything was fine. Pilgrims today celebrated the first day of Eid al-Adha. Pilgrims threw 7 pebbles at Mina site at the biggest stone. Pilgrims also flowed the Jamarat Bridge and nearby areas was gradually faced by batches and were sent to different levels at a pre-prepared plan and returned to where they came in an orderly flow. Pilgrims today also performed their sacrifice of animals, shortening their hair and moving in a walk between As-Safa and Al-Marwa during Hajj rituals by staying in Mina, supplicating Almighty and thanking His gracious blessings, as well as they will continue throwing pebbles starting from smaller to the medium and the biggest stone, each with 7 pebbles. Still to come in our news bulletin. Halwa shops witnessed a big number of people during Eid al-Adha occasion. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. A suicide bomber blew himself up today during prayers at mosque for the Eid al-Adha holiday, killing 25 people in Yemen's capital Sana'a. Dozens were wounded in the blast at the Al-Bayal mosque, said the officials, who remain neutral in the conflict that has splintered the country. It is located in an area where many people support Houthi rebels who control Sana'a. European Union leaders have pledged an extra €1 billion to the United Nations Refugee Agency and World Food Programme to help them offer food and shelter to people fleeing conflict. The leaders also pledged to boost support to Lebanon, Turkey and Jordan to help them cope with the millions fleeing the fighting in Syria. EU President Donald Tusk said to Brussels after an EU Head of State Emergency Summit on the refugee crisis that €1 billion will be offered in cooperation with the programs offered by the UN High Commission on Refugees and the World Food Programme. Tusk said the summit of EU presidents and prime ministers was needed to quell fighting over a quota system of the migrants and refugees. Zakia Mohammadi, a member of Afghanistan's first paragliding team, waited on a hilltop in the outskirts of Kabul for the wind to lift her paraglider into the sky. She is one of a group of young Afghan paragliding fans taking to skies above the war-weary capital, where military helicopters and surveillance balloons are a far more familiar sight. Women in Afghanistan's conservative Islamic society are increasingly entering fields such as education, sports and the workplace. During the Taliban rule in the 90s, Afghan women were kept out of schools, universities and public life. Team members said they hope to spread their wings to other Afghan provinces soon, but for the moment security worries restrict them to Kabul. Omani Student Society of University of New South Wales organized a cultural day under the theme Oman as Destination of Treasure to promote for Oman as a touristic destination and to introduce the Omani culture for people in Australia. More details in the following report by Sultan bin Saif Al Sarai.
The Omani students in Australia have used the advantage of being in one of the most culturally diverse universities in Sydney to promote for the country through a cultural event. They're keen to showcase the essence of the culture in order to attract the visitors and make them interested to visit Oman. This goal has been reached via a number of activities such as these stalls, which represented various aspects of the Omani culture and heritage. The visitor's journey in the stall starts with an introduction about Oman's geographical location and its multifarious environment. Then they have the ability to move between other stalls that represent the Omani traditional clothes and food.
It is a great opportunity to come and find out a bit about Oman here. I've come to one of these days before, and it's a great experience to learn a bit about where some of my students come from that I get to teach in class, and to learn a bit more about their home country. So yeah, it's really good.
Visiting this site impressed many visitors, especially after given the opportunity to try the Omani traditional dress and food. Others enjoyed the fashion show and the traditional arts show, while some amazed by the spectacular views from Oman, which displayed in pictures. A number of visitors expressed that they never knew about such a lovely country with an extraordinary culture, and they stated that they would like to give it a visit to know more about it. To make the event visitors remember the experience of being part of the Omani culture, pictures were taken for them while they are dressing the Omani dress. Also, they have given the chance to live the Omani hospitality atmosphere. The nice smell of the Omani culture has attracted a wide range of people in the University of New South Wales. Therefore, they became interested to visit Oman and share their unforgettable experience with their friends through social media network to join them. People from different nationalities have been inspired after visiting this event, and now they are looking forward to know more about this culture, as they have decided to visit Oman in their upcoming holidays. For Sultanate of Oman Television, Sultan bin Saif Sarai from the University of New South Wales, Australia.
During Eid, all kinds of sweets, especially Omani halwa, are served in Omani majlis or sitting places in the Wilaya of Brahmi. It is considered a symbol for hospitality while being an aspect of the Omani heritage. Eid al-Adha occasion brings joy and happiness in the society, and the halwa is decorated in beautiful shapes and it tastes it's unique. Omani halwa contains water, sugar, saffron, nuts, rose water and cardamom. Halwa shops with various kinds of sweets witness a big number of people during Eid occasion. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Sultanate celebrates, along with Arab and Islamic states, the first day of the blessed Eid al-Adha. 717 pilgrims are killed in a stampede outside Mecca, and Omani Hajj mission confirms that until now it doesn't receive any report of injuries or deaths among Omani pilgrims. And the European Union leaders pledge an extra €1 billion to support Syrian refugees. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the studios and newsroom, it's good night and Eid Mubarak.